viewers. 2 years of playing and spending hundreds of dollars on retro video games. Yes, my channel has been up for 2 years and it's time to celebrate. So, I don't really know how to celebrate it. So I asked my friends and sadly, viewers, to ask me some questions. If you're one of my viewers, please ask me some questions. I'd like to answer them. No one has asked me really like any questions other than like requests. But yeah, I'd like questions from you guys, and I try to answer them and maybe make a video about it. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. I'm gonna be answering some other questions that they asked me, and I'm gonna be giving some history behind my channel and some of the videos I've made, including the very first long play which I uploaded not too long ago. There's a little bit behind that. So, without further ado, let's start the 2-year special. End of story. Alright, so the origin of my channel actually began when I was very young. I heard that you can make a living off of YouTube videos like back in 2015, and I'd seen a lot of people making gaming videos, and I was like, I play video games, so I can do that. I told my parents that I could make millions of dollars off of playing video games, which sadly hasn't happened yet. And the thing was, you needed an email to make a YouTube account back then, and you had to be at like a certain age. And back then, I was actually I was a very honest kid, and I didn't want to like fake my birthday because I thought I'd get in trouble. But after getting my new computer back in Christmas of 2020, my good friend Max came over and told me he was going to try to do some funny stuffs in live streams. He then proceeded to make an account named John Arbuckle. Profile picture of, well, John Arbuckle. He tried to get his name and profile picture to appear on live streams, but it didn't work. Before Max left, I told him if he was going to log out of his account he made, but he said that it was my account now, and I could do whatever I wanted with it. I went back upstairs to my computer, and I was like, hey, I have a channel now, and proceeded to upload 2 videos of me and Max that I had recorded the month before and named them Unboxing for my birthday 1 and 2. After I had done that, I still had the name John Arbuckle and wanted to change it, so I named it after my Roblox account name, and thus, King of Games Pedro Pro was born and has been alive for 2 years. So probably the most common question I get asked is, what is my favorite video game? Well, my favorite video game is one that definitely needs no introduction and is a favorite to many others, and that is Super Mario Bros. For the original NES. This game also counts as the very first video game I ever played. Yes, my dad still had his NES from the early 90s, and I got to play the games that he also played while he was growing up as a teenager. And Super Mario Bros. Was the very first one I tried out. It has a special place in my heart since it's the very first video game, and it's a video game I still enjoy a lot. In fact, I've actually never beaten the game even after all these years, but I plan on doing so one day. My favorite video game accessory has to be the Game Boy camera. Something about it just seems very cool to me, and it's a camera for the Game Boy. You automatically just gotta love it for that. The game starts up to someone in a Mario costume doing little dances, and if you were to press up on the screen, this will put Mario in ultra speed. Pressing down also does the same thing, but instead of making it slow instead of fast. The entire thing kinda gives off a weird feeling, like if the developers were on drugs when they made this. The minigames and commercials kinda give off this feeling a bit more. Just look at this.
With a hocus pocus, you're in focus, it's your lucky day. Smile, You're on Game Boy Camera.
Nothing says you care like photography and Game Boy Camera.
Smile. You're on Game Boy Camera.
But then again, this was the 90s, so I'm pretty sure people were into this kind of stuff back then. Things that were cool back then may not be cool anymore, since that was 30 years ago again. And who could forget the infamous run option? I bet that caused nightmares for some kids back in the 90s, especially the one with the guy with the star on his forehead. But yeah, this thing allows you to, of course, take low quality pictures, but it also allows you to make animations, draw in place, preloaded stamps, and even make cool little point-and-click games. That's something I didn't even know it could do. So yeah, the Game Boy Camera may have been released in the same year as the Game Boy Color, and the camera part isn't really that good. It's still a cool little accessory that I'm glad that exists. Alright, finally, that one took forever, but finally we can move on to the next question. Me personally, my favorite Atari 2600 game would have to be this special gray cartridge named Tunnel Runner. Has RAM plus 2 apparently. So what makes this game so enjoyable? Well, first of all, the graphics are good for the 2600. First person 3D maze, something that you don't really see much on the 2600. And the music's actually pretty good since the 2600 isn't really known for having a good sound chip. But really, it's the gameplay that makes it so enjoyable. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but if you want to learn a bit more about this game, then you should go check out the Notes for Gamers video about Tunnel Runner. Now, this game may just seem like a typical maze game, just find your way out of the maze, simple enough, but this game has a few things that will try to stop you from finding the exit. First of all, there's 4 monsters roaming around the mazes called Zots. Each one has certain ups and downs. For example, one could be very smart and can find you very easily, but it could be very slow. And one could be dumb, but very fast, and sometimes one could be both fast and smart. There's also another thing that you need to consider when you're trying to exit the maze, and that is that each exit requires a key. And now by pressing and holding the button, you can open the map and sometimes see where you, the Zots, and the key and exit are at. But in later rounds, things start disappearing in the map, like Zots, keys, exits, you, and even the map itself. So this game can get pretty challenging in later rounds. Speaking of later rounds, if you look at the bottom, you will see a bar. This bar is actually your timer and will gradually shrink as time goes on. If you run out of time, you don't actually die, but once you find an exit, you'll have to start the maze all over again, which gets pretty annoying sometimes. Once you're farther in the game, this bar will start shrinking faster and faster to the point where it kind of feels like you're speedrunning the whole game. But this still isn't everything the game has to offer, and if I took the time to actually describe exactly everything the game would have, then this would make this segment about twice as long, and I just wanted to be quick and give my opinion about it. And my thoughts on this game are awesome. I mean, you gotta remember that this is the 2600, a console that is known for having games that were never really great or aged poorly. So seeing something like this play on a thing that doesn't exactly have the best reputation is amazing. Maybe it's that RAM Plus that makes the game so good. Anyways, so that is just my thoughts on Tunnel Runner, and let's just move on to the next question. Alrighty, this is a question I've wanted to answer for quite some time now, which a bunch of my friends have been asking me. So, what is, in my opinion, the best console to collect for? Well, I'm gonna have to go with the Atari 2600. If you look at my shelf with all my retro games, you'll see that the majority of it is being taken up by VCS games. Almost all popular 2600 games will go for about 5 to 15 bucks each, with the more obscure ones going for about 20 to 45 bucks. If you compare these prices with other systems, mainly the Atari home computers and NES, you'll see that these prices are actually pretty low compared to them. While the Atari 2600 doesn't have as much accessories as the Atari 8-bit line of computers and other systems, it does have some cool ones like the wireless joystick controllers, the StarPath supercharger, which can play games on cassettes, Game Line, which was a peripheral which you could download games from the phone line, and some rare ones like the RJ1360 selected game and the Yoko game copier, which, judging by the name, lets the user copy the ROM from one cartridge to another blank cartridge. The Atari 2600 is still having software created for it through homebrewers. The console itself, with controllers and included games, could go for less than $75, which is a pretty good deal to me, since a lot of 2600 games are still very fun to play. I'm not talking about E.T. and other terrible third-party games of the Atari, so you can just forget about all that. So yeah, the Atari is definitely a good console to begin collecting with. It has a huge library of games, has many cool accessories, and most importantly, it is very affordable, which was the main thing Atari commercials focused on.
One more thing, it's got a special low price, under $50. $50? Now isn't that nice? The fun is back!
Alright, we have made it to our last question, and that is, how much money have I spent on retro video games? Well, let's see how much stuff I have. Yep, all of this you see right here is about $1,200. So, some people have been wondering, how do I afford all of that? That's just very easy to answer. I get it from birthdays, finding it. So yeah, my parents are really disappointed in me. Well, that's gotta be all for this special. You know, I may have been a month late, but that's because of how much stuff has happened recently. First of all, school, for some reason, thought they'd give me more work. Then my cat was on the verge of dying at one point. Luckily, he's fine now. You know, I was also sick. Like, I was sick for a month. Couldn't really do anything. So yeah, I've definitely had a rough time editing this video, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Speaking of which, this is probably the most edited video I made. If you were able to get the file of this, you'd see how much edits I've made. And I've also been learning stuff on the way. So, you know, that was pretty fun to make. Sadly, it's all over now. So what's next from my channel? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe I'll make a 3-year special? Probably not. 2.5, maybe? I don't know. So yeah, that will conclude this 2-year special. Thank you for watching.